Welcoming to the compendium of wondrous games, we have here today a Paul Morphy game. Finally, it was time. This game started off with e4, e5, and you might realize that Paul Morphy starts off this game without a rook on a1. That's not a coincidence. It's called a rook odds, which means that he's just too good for his opponent and decided to play with a rook down. So he goes knight f3. His opponent is called Charles Le Carpentier, which means that this was played when Paul Morphy was in France, actually. So knight f3, knight c6 to defend the pawn, and now d4. I would call this a Scotch gambit, but there's no rook on a1, so we can't officially call it that. After bishop c4, his opponent goes check, and now Paul Morphy has to defend, but doesn't want to trade pieces, so he'll actually go with c3 here, attacking this bishop on b4, and after takes, now he'll take the time to castle, and of course gambit another pawn here on b2. And now bishop takes. At this point in the game, Paul Morphy is down a rook and two more pawns, just for the activity of his pieces, notably the raise of his bishops. Really nicely on f7 and on g7. We're threatening to take this pawn and trap the rook right now, so his opponent goes for a measly bishop f8, very passive to defend. And at this point in the game, it's quite beautiful actually, that his opponent only has one piece developed, and we've managed to develop 1, 2, 3, and potentially arguably 4. Very nice. Paul Morphy goes e5, kind of taking away the square from the knight, but the black pieces really has bishop e7 or knight h6 that they can play and be completely fine. The bigger question of this game is, were Paul Morphy's opponents actually trash? I'm in Plaza de España, one of the most gorgeous places in Spain. Look at this palace, it's huge! There is actually one set of tiles for every province in Spain at this palace, and this is the one that we are in front of for this video. So his opponent goes with d6, which is quite a big mistake, because here you're offering white to open up the e-file on your king. And so after takes, you can just go like rook e1 in the future, try to prevent the king from castling, and then the black pieces can have some outlying weaknesses, right? Paul Morphy goes with rook e1, which is kind of a mistake here, as you see the eval bar drop on your left-hand side, because now, although Paul Morphy is threatening to have a discovery with check on the king, here his opponent can just play d5, and now not only avoid the en passant tricks that his opponent usually had, but here with d5, you're sacking a pawn, and if queen takes, you trade queens and you're super happy, you're up a pawn and a piece, and if bishop takes, oh no, knight g7, and now black can just develop more. And here, either forcing a queen trade or forcing just more trades. After knight c3, we can trade here, and black develops really nicely with bishop c5. So his opponent missed d5 here and instead played takes, which now lets us open up this d-file, and our queens look at each other in a Western standoff. Paul Morphy is already completely equal if he finds this beautiful combination, which is bishop takes f7 check. And here, you're disconnecting the king from the queen and deflecting it onto this f7 square, after which you have knight takes e5, disconnecting a second piece from the queen. And if the knight takes, you can just take the queen for free, and Paul Morphy is immediately back in it. And if the king moves, let's say going to the e-file, it's just met with a ton of discovered checks on this king, winning the queen. And if the king goes to f6, which is the only other square, there's knight takes c6 check on the king. And here the discovered check will just win a queen. So the best move here is just to go king e7 and just avoid everything. And after queen b3, the engine actually says that given this king in the center, the white pieces have equalized this game here and do have a small advantage, which is kind of crazy given the fact that he's still down a rook and a pawn. Morphy doesn't go for this, instead goes for knight takes e5, which is a textbook losing move after queen takes d1, which is what his opponent played. But now, Morphy saw something that not even any of us have seen, not even the engine have seen in this position, and that is bishop takes f7 check in this position. Black has options. You can go king e7, although not recommended, king d8, and pretty much that's it. There's only two options. If king d8, I think his opponent was scared that we can take this queen with check. But the thing is, there's nothing to be scared about, because just king e7 and black is doing fine here. So it raises the question, why does his opponent miss completely king d8? That's a safety move and wins the game on the spot. and plays king e7 instead. And here, this gives for knight g6 check. Double check on the king while the queen is still on d1 hanging. Double check on the king, and once again, black can go king d8, king d7, and king d6 and have an equal to okay position. But no, you take the candy and your hand is stuck in the cookie jar, in the candy jar rather. King takes f7 was played. And in this position, Paul Morphy kissed the Frenchman on the nose and said, good night. Knight takes h8 is an outstanding checkmating pattern to end this video. The queen is still hanging, by the way. Crazy. So this is my question to you. Were Paul Morphy's opponents way less good than him in the past? This game could offer a sample that black could have played way better, way easier, and just would have beat Paul Morphy. But I guess there was rook odds for a reason. His opponent was not too good anyways.